Good morning, everyone. All right, let me make sure that you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. Hi, happy Monday. We just had the weekend. It's so exciting that we're back again here. Daily live, 9:30ish Eastern Time every day for about 5 to 10 minutes. Usually not quite as long as 10 minutes. Today, we're going to talk about something really important, the difference between weakness and vulnerability. But before I get into that, I just wanted to kind of bring up some things that are on my mind right now. So I was not creating these videos for the last 2 days, and oh my gosh, it was like excruciating not to be connecting in. I always love the replay comments and people's insights, and it's just been really rewarding to see those in the last week. So that was a good thing. So I want to thank you for that. So if you are watching live, hashtag live. If you are watching replay, hashtag replay, and comment, because I really do read them. You guys are my favorite. So some other things that are going on my mind. I'm trying to think. I'm getting like a download of like an offer that I need to be providing. Like I have my sleep offer and I have some courses, but I haven't really announced anything as far as like one-on-one sessions with me, and I'm trying to like sort out what that's supposed to look like. I feel like it's going to have something to do with astrology, because I'm finishing up my astrology certification with Naomi Fox Reyna, who's the founder of Elixology. She has a wonderful certification, and it was just such a great experience, and might as well just put a bow on that, right? Like that's what we're doing here. So I was thinking about that. I know a lot of people love cards. I was thinking about doing some kind of a card reading deal, and then obviously energy healing is my flagship offer, so I do want to make sure that there's an energy healing specific thing. Obviously there's some kind of a discount coming up there, right? Which I don't normally discount my time, so this would be new for me. But yeah, I haven't quite sorted that out, but if you could just at like some point either message me or comment, like if there's some intuitive hit that comes through and you're like, oh my gosh, if you had this, it would just be absolutely amazing and I would love it. That would be such a big help to me, because it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to come up with these ideas in a vacuum. I don't think that's good for you, and it's not good for me, to kind of just like believe my own hype. So if you have any thoughts or ideas on something that you would just absolutely love, I'd love to hear it. Anyways, let's talk about weakness and vulnerability. So, a couple of years ago, gosh, that's not a couple of years ago. It was 2009. Time goes fast when you have kids. Yeah, many years ago, one of my first bosses said something to the effect of, it's really hard to be vulnerable, and because it shows that you have weaknesses. And I said, that's not the same thing. And she's like, nope, vulnerability and weakness are the same, by definition, the same thing. And I was like, I'm going to chew on that. And so here we are, 14 years later. I've done chewing on it. And what it comes down to is this. A vulnerability is a weakness that is also a strength, right? Because if you are vulnerable, it's because that's where your power kind of comes from, or an important connection to your power is. So let's put, for example, social security numbers, right? We have a social security number. We need a social security number so that we can do a lot of things, right, with that. We can get credit. We can prove that we are who we say we are, things like that. But it's a vulnerability, because if somebody else gets a hold of that, then they can do stuff in our name, and our name and our identity is so important, and it's a vulnerable place. Now, would you say that social security numbers are a weakness? Not necessarily. They're a vulnerability. And emotionally, now weakness in that regard would be, a weakness is actually a wound that gives people unauthorized access to our vulnerabilities, which happen to be a source or a connection to power, right? So let's put it in these terms. If you are lonely, right, and you want some friendship, then you have a weakness that can make you susceptible to poor use of your vulnerability, right? So let's say you're lonely and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want someone who will show me love, and I'm going to go online, and then that person gets catfished, and then they've disclosed their social security number to that person, right? That's a weakness. The weakness is that, like, because they have a pain, they have a wound, they are providing access to someone who doesn't deserve access to their vulnerability, which is their connection to power. And the reason that it's considered to be a weak point is because it's so systemically important, right? So if you provide access to because of your pain, right? If you provide access to somebody who doesn't deserve it because you are in pain, then that's a weakness. But the vulnerability itself is that you could have be giving access to that to people who don't deserve it. Let's talk about an emotional vulnerability. One of the most important emotional powers is joy. And when we express our joy, we are expressing a really powerful emotion, which can really create incredible things to happen. When other people deny or judge our joy, then that's the vulnerability. That's the poor use of somebody's joy, right? And so one of the things that we often will do is hide our joy, right? Because if I'm too joyful, I might look ridiculous or something like that. If I'm too joyful, I might do something embarrassing. And that's the fear, right? I might do something to get me cut out of society because one of the vulnerabilities, one of the powers that we have is our connection to others. And we don't want to express our own individuality and our own joy at the expense of our connection to others, because that represents a certain amount of our survival right now, right? Or especially in the past, right? If no one's going to share their let's say they took down a caribou or something like that, and the people in the group aren't going to share it, then because you have expressed your individuality, then your direct survival relies on not expressing your individuality. We don't live in that same world, but our bodies do believe that we still do. Okay? So it's important to understand why we have these sources of power, how many sources of power we actually have, because there isn't only one, right? We don't only have a social security number to verify our identity. We have more than that, okay? So, I invite you to tap into your vulnerabilities and heal your weaknesses. And when we heal our weaknesses, then our vulnerabilities don't feel so vulnerable anymore, because we're not giving access. We don't have this like systemic access to people who don't deserve it. Okay? I promise you it wouldn't be quite 10 minutes on that. This is a longer one than I have had in the last week, but please comment if this was helpful for you, and I'd love to hear more about what you want from me. So thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow.